Producer Andrew May and company director Paul Mitzi have been chatting to business owners, offering them coffee or Corona. This is part 2 of a chat with Richard Cornish, foodie, television producer, author and weekly newspaper columnist with the very popular Brain Food.
Look, I'm a heathen when it comes to anything beyond Corona or tea, right? What do you think about the wine pairing experience?
Wine is the regal part of the meal, and wine should always be seen in context with food. It helps digestion. That little bit of alcohol takes the edge off and sort of brings everyone together in a communal space.
I went to a restaurant, really cool restaurant in Rome, right? And they were serving up meat dishes,
Yeah.
right? And the restaurateur came to the table and asked everybody what they wanted to drink,
Yeah.
right? And everyone's saying, vino rosso, so red wine.
Certo.
Yeah. And I don't drink red wine. I can't do red wine.
That's fair enough, yeah.
So naively,
Yeah.
I said, vino bianco.
Yeah.
He looked at me and he went, butts. The whole table.
Stronzo.
The whole table exploded with laughter. I felt about that big, and I said, okay, fucking vino rosso.
Yeah, somebody said you can have red wine with fish.
It was a classic Bond film from Russia with Love,
Yes.
where the Schmerz spy.
It's in the train. He pretends to be an Englishman.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
Russian spy.
Yeah.
And he has the wrong wine.
He orders, I'll have the Blanc de Blanc, says Sean Connery.
The spy goes, yes, I'll have red, thank you.
I'll have the red. Yes, exactly. And Connery's eyebrows shoot up like a Roger Moore at that point. If he drinks red wine, obviously he's an imposter.
Yes.
So if you drink the wrong wine, you'll be killed by James Bond.
Oh, I nearly got killed by an Italian restaurateur.
In terms of bringing people together, we're at a time now where a lot of people can't get together. And how's that affected the food industry?
It's carnage. We are seeing a huge number of restaurants, cafes, food businesses that are going to be dropping out. They're not coming back. Rents are up here. Wages are up here. We can't go out to eat. And so we're eating together at home. But I think this is probably a good thing, because what it means, we're actually concentrating more on the cooking process, and we're actually concentrating more on what we are putting on the plate. I'm seeing small farmers from around Australia, and they are banding together and they're consolidating their product. Look at South Gippsland, for example, the Prom Coast Food Collective. Cheesemakers, chicken grower, dairy people, vegetable growers, bakers, they're all getting together one day a week, putting their food in boxes, putting them in a truck and sending them out all around Victoria.
Is that happened only in the last few months?
This has been happening for some time, but what is happening is that there are so many people who want to buy these great high quality products that we, as customers, are making that a lot more profitable and a lot more accessible.
What's your view on the growth of, say, Uber Eats, Menulog, Deliveroo? Have you got a view on those?
I speak to my mates in the restaurant industry. When someone's taking 30 to 35% of your gross income on each of those deliveries, are they building long-term relationships, or are we simply seeing money being siphoned off overseas to people aren't paying tax?
That's my view. And I've never done it. I refuse to do it to get food in, because I don't like the idea of food being delivered to me, 30 minutes after it's been cooked, because it doesn't taste the same.
And it's been made to sit in the box for half an hour.
Yeah.
It's constructed in such a way so that it will be able to be shuffled about in the back of someone's box.
Well, look, talking on that, some of the restaurants are now designing takeaway where they prepare a lot, they give you instructions, you finish it off at your place.
There's a great Maltese chef called Shane Delia.
Yes, I know Shane.
Well, we call him Chandelier. Shane Delia's done this great job. He's put together all these different restaurants from people like Movida. I think even the Flower Drums on board. They create these meals that you finish at home. You have input into the way that dish is finished. So you have, cooking from the heart's always good. It always tastes better.
What's that called?
It's called Providore.
Yeah.
Providore.com.au, I think.
And that's the initiative that's needed in times like this. They can't get people into the restaurant, right? Then they're still maintaining their brand and their credibility by getting the people to still taste their food at home.
I've been reading a bit lately that before COVID, the restaurant industry needed a bit of shake-up. There was controversy everywhere.
No, globally, restaurants are in trouble. There's been an oversupply of restaurants. You look at, say, a place in Melbourne City maybe paying, let's say $150,000 per annum just to open the doors. This is what we have to understand. We want to have a dish in front of us on our table at about $40 per main course, a glass of wine at somewhere between $10 and $15 for a good quality glass of wine. If we want that and that, then at the other end of that, we've got people who are running these restaurants who are making, their profit margin is paper thin. Yeah, because restaurants are temporal places where we will go to do our rituals, our engagements, our wedding receptions, emotional discussions with our partners. These are really, really important places to us. The restaurateurs are really good. They welcome you and they transform that space for the amount of time you're in there from being the mundane into being, I would say, almost sacred spaces. It's not about the service, it's about the special mood they create.
And people are missing that mood. People are in lockdown now, currently, in some cities. Will restaurants adopt the model that we're having now of eating in smaller groups?
If I was going to be designing a restaurant these days, there'd be a lot more floor space. There'd be a lot more like American-style booths. If you want to spread people apart, you need more room. You need more room, you need more floor space. More floor space is more money. That's the dilemma.
Are you optimistic about food and food culture in Australia?
What's really interesting at this time is like people are soul searching and they're looking for answers, looking for meaning. You're actually seeing a whole lot of people going back to the land, and people are discovering the true story of Australia, which is the Indigenous culture of Australia. There's so much interest in what has been grown here for food for the last 60,000 years. That's what's really exciting people at present.
And you think that's going to introduce a new wave of cooking, a new style of cooking, a new genre at all?
It inspires a different way of cooking, but also inspires a different way of seeing. You can get an idea, a conversation with anyone when you start talking about food. You can start a conversation with a taxi driver anywhere around the world by asking them what they eat, what they had for dinner last night, and what's their favourite food.
You can also start a fight over food. Have you ever seen Maltese at a smorgasbord?
People running small businesses, should they use this time in a certain way?
As far as business goes, I spend a really good time to actually go out and do other things. I've actually found work for other people.
I think in times like these, you need to have faith in your own ability, right? You really need to rise to the occasion and see beyond all the doom and gloom.
And actually looking who you are and what you do and what you're capable of. Shutting this up and opening them up.
Well, that's hard for me. Now, when hopefully we do come out of a lockdown and it's eased a little bit more, what can the public do to support food? Is there a way of getting it started?
Relationships, Andrew, it's all about relationships. If you know who's cooking your food, who's growing your food, you are actually supporting a family, supporting a business, supporting something that's local. It will be more cellular. We'll be having small cells of friends and family and people we know, and of businesses we work with, and of communities that we associate with.
I love food. I've grown up with food. Half of my life was bad food, with my mother's cooking, and the other half was exceptional food.
When you say bad food, your mother's cooking, how bad was it?
When you eat peas and they're almost mashed through no effort of actually physically mashing them, it's bad.
So that's the English influence,
yes.
The mushy peas,
the mushy
and your mum's Maltese.
How do you bring back overcooked mushy peas back to life?
Mushy peas back to life, you'd incorporate them in another dish because it's still got a lot of fibre in them, and so I'd put them back into a soup or a stew.
You could hide it into a lasagna sauce. Anyway,
lasagna sauce.
I've done that.
Horses for courses.
Have you ever eaten horse?
No.
Of
eel.
Course.
I haven't eaten a horse, of course. I've eaten eel. I've eaten tuna testes, ears. I don't think there's anything I wouldn't eat.
You haven't had my mum's cooking.
Sorry, I'm never going to eat your mum's peas.
Well, on your mum's peas, I think it's time that we peased off. And thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, and it's good to see you in these interesting times.
Cheers.
Cheers.
If you want to participate or sponsor us, or both, drop us a line. coffee@maysproductions.com.au